The Disney company has a little problem on their hands. They've said that they're getting rid of the rivers of America. There may be some indications they consider Frontierland altogether problematic, and that Liberty Square right next to it, it seems doomed, I tell you. Well, the Hall of Presidents originally didn't have a refurbishment on the calendar, despite the fact that we have a new president in office. Well, now it seems like Disney might be bending the knee a little bit, and they will be going down for refurbishment. When they come back, what's going to be there? Is it going to be Donald Trump, or is it going to be nobody? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is constitutional professor, Mr. VashSky. Vash, what is the 14th Amendment? No, the 26th.
Oh, 26th Amendment. I have no idea. I'm not a constitutional scholar. But, a lot of people forget about the Third Amendment. Jonas, do you know what the Third Amendment is?
Not off the top of my head. You're putting me to shame here.
Well, it's you don't station troops in other people's houses. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
You somebody? Oh, wait, no, that is not the Fourth Amendment. Anyways, let's talk about this one, though. Walt Disney World refurbishment signals Trump animatronic front and center again at Hall of Presidents. This by Rick Frazier from That Park Place. I always love it when Rick graces us with his articles. There he is. Donald Trump looking a bit Hillary Clinton-like in the face there. Walt Disney World has announced an upcoming refurbishment for Magic Kingdom's Hall of Presidents attraction, likely signaling that incoming President Donald J. Trump will be featured front and center once more. I've heard a few people say that, you need to have two Donald Trumps. I'm going to say we have precedent on how they handle multiple presidents. Here, Grover Cleveland was in office twice, not in consecutive terms, and he's only in the attraction once. So the idea of two Donald Trumps standing on either side of a Joe Biden animatronic, while that is hilarious, I don't think that that's going to happen here. Vash, what do you think?
It would be huge. Come on, Jonas, we gotta do it now. So this is why I bring up the Third Amendment right here, because you see, we don't want multiple Trumps stationed here, or Disney's people stationed here. Third Amendment's going to alleviate this for us. No, this all long-winded joke here, but this is a very interesting story because we've been keeping track of this since the election. But even before that, there was, I think, an idea that Disney was getting a little, I don't know, they were a little uncomfortable with this attraction. And had the election actually turned out a different way, in which you had maybe the first female president in this attraction, I think the company would be maybe reinvigorated with this. But now, with the election results behind us and having Trump reintroduced as the 47th president of the United States, obviously that might change things in Disney's calculation. We do have confirmation finally that this attraction is coming back. But my question is, in what form, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yes. And this is Disney's announcement right here on that. According to Walt Disney World refurbishment calendar, Hall of Presidents, it's actually WDW Magic's quote, but Hall of Presidents at Magic Kingdom is scheduled to temporarily close for refurbishment starting January 20th, 2025. This is not like maybe they're trying to fix the timing a little bit here, but I noticed that the the Haunted Mansion, I think, is going down for a little bit on January 6th. And also the Big Thunder Mountain is going down on January 6th. Maybe they felt like it was too on the nose for this to go down on January 6th as well. Instead, it will be going down January 20th, which is actual inauguration day here. While Disney has not provided a specific reopening date, the closure aligns with the traditional practice of updating the attraction following the inauguration of a new U.S. president. You know who we need as a president? The spirit of Walt.
Oh.
I know it's a silly idea, but I'm going to be nostalgic and cheesy and say, yeah, I would love to see what a Walt Disney presidency would look like. Just update him. Just don't even update his policies. Just 1960s Walt Disney. Just put him in office. Let him see what's going on in America and see how he reacts.
Perfect. Yeah, I want the House of Un-American Activities Walt when he's in front of the HUAC and giving his giving his breakdown of what actually happened within his company during the strike era. That's the Walt I want as the no, I'm joking. Very big jokes,
Well,
folks. But here's the thing.
I don't
Go ahead.
know, a union busting Walt. There, it was an animators union. It's not like it was people who were sweating. I respected the animators back in the day, but anyhow, Walt was famously anti-communist, and I can relate to that. Uh, Looking at this now, there have been multiple versions of this attraction. I don't know who narrates it now. It has been Morgan Freeman in the past. It has been Maya Angelou in the past. Walter Cronkite, all of them fantastic voices. Uh, I'm not sure that Disney wants to have this kind of controversy every single time they update the ride, and either American culture around politics has to change, or the Disney of old would know how to adapt to this. And I don't know that the Disney of the current ilk, the Bob Iger Corporation, as we jokingly call it, I don't know that they're capable of threading this needle. Vash, what can Disney do if they actually want to avoid controversy at this point?
Oof, yeah, that's the big question, right? And this is coming back to the original conversation about enthusiasm for this attraction from the company standpoint, because I don't think they want to get into these political crosshairs either. I think they want to go ahead and take a step back from that as much as they possibly can, especially within their parks segment here. The original conception of this Hall of Presidents attraction goes back to Walt's era and Walt's big dream of having every single U.S. president actually represented in animatronic form. This was something that he was a really big proponent of. He actually said back at the time that if he had to separately charge for this attraction in order to get it into Disneyland at the time, and that's something that he would actually pursue. So the fact that Disney even brought this to life back in October 1st of 1971, when the Magic Kingdom opened, was a triumph in its own right. But even back then, the company was a little bit unsure about having political representation in the parks. This is, I will say, a reverent attraction. It's not necessarily a political attraction, but it has been politicized with, obviously, the fervor in the country, so to speak, on these issues.
Right.
And
obviously, all politics went way too far over the last 4 years, and hopefully it can be dialed back. But I wouldn't count on the good graces of everyone else in the world. I can only control myself in trying to lower my own political temperature. I feel like it's foolish of me to count on everyone else to do the same.
Yeah, and this is kind of what makes this whole conversation kind of difficult when it comes to, gauging the company and their enthusiasm for this and keeping this up, because even back in the 1970s, like I was saying before, they were looking to get out of this. They were looking to maybe take out Lincoln from the Opera House at Disneyland for Great Moments, Mr. Lincoln, and replace him with Walt and his story. They didn't end up actually doing that. Now Walt Disney is going into the Opera House yet again. Now in animatronic form, I think headed up by Tom Fitzgerald and that WDI team, to make him part of Great Moments, Mr. Lincoln. That is something they could necessarily do here. I believe Pro posited this on the Pro show when we were covering this on that program. He was suggesting that maybe Walt Disney could be incorporated in this attraction and kind of explain the history of why something like this exists in Walt Disney World. That's an interesting idea. The other thing that could occur necessarily with this attraction as well is in the 1990s, that's when the tradition started of the current president in office speaking and being highlighted in a key moment in this attraction. Perhaps they go back to a format in which the current president isn't highlighted and doesn't give a speech. And, you just have every single president represented, and you have more established historical figures like maybe Abraham Lincoln, for example, George Washington, and some of the others actually give speeches, and you do the show that way.
And I think that would be, I agree with you. I think that would probably be one of the paths they could take to destigmatize this attraction right now. Right. And, and it's a great attraction. They actually do a very good job, even in the versions with the presidents that I don't like very much in it. They still do a good job of keeping it a reverent situation. in there. And I get it. Not everybody likes the same political candidates as everybody else. That's not the thing that we're arguing here. I don't want a Walt animatronic in here. I know that for absolute sure. But I think this is one where if they can do it to where they're just listing out the names of the presidents and lighting them up. By the way, they keep coming out with new presidents every 4 years or 8 years or so. So this is a problem that Walt kind of knew he was going to be creating here. I know that he knows that scale happens. So this is Walt putting his foot down and saying, I'm going to make this into someone else's problem here. So that's kind of funny to me. But Hall of Presidents, I think it's good. I think it speaks to some form of unity, whether that is something that is a unity that we have as opposed to a unity that we hope to have. I think it's a good attraction. It's also a nice air-conditioned experience where you can experience something that is very Walt Disney. I appreciate that they've put the work into updating the Hall of Presidents frequently and not in the way that they've kind of let the Carousel of Progress dilapidate into something that they honestly, many times that I've been in that attraction, it's like Disney should be ashamed of themselves. Whereas Carousel of Progress, I think probably could be updated more often if they did it with love. Hall of Presidents, I get it. Once every 4 years, once every 8 years, change it out, add in the new guy. I think that there's probably a good case for this to stay the reverential Disney-like thing that it used to be. So, Vash, why don't you close us out?
No, I completely agree with you. I think because Disney is forced to update this every 4 to 8 years with the changing out of the presidents, it has kept it somewhat relevant. And you've had a number of speakers that, or I should say narrators as part of the show: Morgan Freeman, J.D. Hall, Maya Angelou, Lawrence Dobkin. I believe right now it's Joy Vandervoort Kopp, if I'm not mistaken, or Vandervoort. I'm not sure if that is completely accurate. That's just kind of what I'm doing. My research right now, that's what it reflects. And the Carousel of Progress, even though it's probably a more beloved attraction, it just kind of atrophies in the meanwhile. It's interesting. I think even WDI's opinion about this attraction was expressed. Do you remember under new management, Jonas?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
At the very end, I think Iago says, "Oh, I need a nap. I'm going to go ahead and go into the Hall of Presidents." I think that was the last line there as you're exiting the theater.
And then it burst into flames.
Yes. So you can kind of see how WDI feels about this, and I think the company feels about this attraction. I am glad that it's remaining. I am glad because I understand the historical significance of this attraction. I understand what it meant to Walt and his dreams of having an attraction like this. I'm glad from that perspective that this is staying, but I also recognize that in our modern context, this has been a problematic attraction.
Yeah. Yes,
and the company might be wanting to mitigate that.
Right. And I'm not saying it should be problematic. It is to the company right now.
Right.
That's the difficulty when you have someone who does not respect a legacy being put in charge of a legacy. And I'm talking about the company altogether, not any specific people. Because, you say Tom Fitzgerald is working on this attraction. I don't think Tony Baxter worked on it, so we don't have to worry about that kind of destruction. That being said, like this video, of course. If you like this video, drop a comment down below if you have any thoughts on Donald Trump being added back in. Vash, do you have something you want to throw in there?
Well, I was just going to say Tony Baxter did the current iteration, or
no.
He did the version just prior.
Okay. That changes the landscape a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you got some more comments there, but consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun. I think it's doomed, Bash.
Yeah, it's doomed. It's definitely doomed.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.